Hey, it's Justin Kanoya, and in this video, I'm gonna talk all about the very first moving head fixture I have ever used, and it's this guy, the Mover Spot 150 from Colorkey. Now, before we get into this, in full disclosure, I have been working with Colorkey a few times this year, including working in their booth at various trade shows and doing a few promo videos with them. They reached out to me and asked if I was interested in incorporating these into my setups and events. They only asked that I give them my honest thoughts about them, and that's what I'm here to do. So let's get into it. First, a few specs. The Mover Spot 150 features a 90-watt LED that can be used as a bright, tight spotlight, but also is aided with a color wheel that can create 7 additional colors. In addition to the spotlights, the Mover 150 can project one of 7 static metal gobos, as well as 6 rotating glass gobos. And while these gobos are active, you can activate the 5-facet prism, which takes that single gobo image and splits it into 5. And between all of these color and gobo options, I'm presented with a myriad of options when it comes to operating these fixtures. All right, so now that you know what's inside this thing, what you're probably wanting to know is how has it worked for me, and is it worth getting? Now, coming from someone who has never used a moving head fixture ever, and yes, that's over the course of more than 2 decades of DJing, I have found these fixtures to be extremely fun to use and a really nice addition to my setup. With a MAP price of $599.99, I would consider the Mover Spot 150 kind of middle of the road because there are certainly smaller moving heads that you can find for about half that price, and of course there are moving heads that are north of $1,000. These 150s also were a great first moving head fixture for me as an introduction to more advanced levels of DMX programming. I've got a pretty good grasp of DMX, but up until now, I've only programmed static lights like my uplights and various light bars that I've had over the years, like the ADJ Dots T-Par and currently the Chauvet Wash FX. But with moving heads, there is a whole new set of elements. You've got pan, tilt, focus, beams. It's a lot. And because these fixtures do all of these things, it was perfect for me to play around with and understand these various features and how I could incorporate them into my events and dance floors. Once I was able to get them dialed in and program presets on my Wolfmix DMX controller, I was ready to bring them out into the real world and use them in 2 different capacities. The first was a backyard party where the movers were the only 2 fixtures I had for dance floor lighting. Shortly after that, I used them at a wedding where they complemented 2 Chauvet Wash FXs. In both situations, I was battling not so ideal ambient lighting. The backyard party had some market lighting that was strung all throughout the backyard, as well as lighting that came from the house. And the wedding, while indoors, I was dealing with a venue that refused to turn off their lighting. And I'm not sure if they could have been dimmed, but when the coordinator had asked them to maybe turn them off or just dim them, we just got a hard no. Let's take a look at some video from each event. First, the outdoor space. With moving heads, if you don't have any atmospheric elements like haze or fog, you really need to rely on some type of surface to hit them with. That's why it's not ideal to use these type of fixtures outdoors without any haze. However, I knew I had the side of this house as well as some big trees to hit, and I thought it would be a really good experiment. And you can see they did pretty well, despite the amount of ambient lighting as well as only having a few surfaces to hit. Now onto the wedding. I was really excited to bring these fixtures into this space because it's unique and isn't just a room with 4 walls and a ceiling. This building is located at the San Diego Botanic Garden, so it was almost like an outdoor space, but it just had so many surfaces to have the beams of light to shine on. And as I mentioned, I pretty much had a room with 100% brightness, and despite that, these 90-watt LED bulbs just punched through all of that and gave some amazing effects throughout the night. So that's a peek into my experience with the Mover Spot 150 from Colorkey. I'm looking forward to using these more, but you know, adding anything new to a DJ setup, it takes some adjustment time to fully incorporate. And in fact, adding moving heads to a setup is a huge adjustment. So big in fact that it's something I really want to walk you through if you're considering adding movers to your setup. But that's going to be in a future video, so make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss it when it comes up. And if you have any questions about these moving heads, be sure to leave them in the comments below. I'm Justin Kanoya, and I'll see you next time online.